Khamzat versus Strickland.
He's going to try to take Strickland down 100% of the time.
Yeah.
No way he's
From the
going to
locker
stand with
room,
him.
he's gonna show.
No way is he going to stand with that
The
dude.
mystery of that fight is Strickland's going to get taken down. That's going to happen. He'll get taken down. But he's so well versed on getting up in his cardio. That third, fourth, and fifth round, if he keeps getting up, defend the submissions, that's when it gets interesting.
He's also so hard to hit. He's so hard to hit. He does so many sneaky things on the feet that people don't
And he
see
just
coming.
keeps coming.
Yep.
Keeps coming.
Yeah, no
Keeps
way
coming.
Khamzat's going to fucking stand with him. He's going to try to take him down. No
Keeps
way.
teeping you.
Yeah.
Khamzat can strike too, though. Did you see the video of
He's no
Khamzat
punk.
striking with
But,
Khalil?
no,
Yeah, he's no
totally.
punk.
But you think that's the best strategy for
No.
Khamzat? No way.
What annoys me about Chimaev, there's nobody that could beat him. I've trained with all the guys he's gonna fight. Fucking Frenchmen ain't doing it. Already aren't doing it. I broke my arm and I was training with him like 2 weeks later and I was mauling him in grappling. But I'm one of the best grapplers in the UFC. I want to fight Chimaev because I'm the only one that beats Chimaev. I think it'd be a decision, but I think I'd beat the out of him.
Khamzat versus Strickland.
He's going to try to take Strickland down 100% of the time.
Yeah.
No way
From
he's
the
going to
locker
stand with
room,
him.
he's gonna show.
No way is he going to stand with that
The
dude.
mystery of that fight is Strickland's going to get taken down. That's going to happen. He'll get taken down. But he's so well versed on getting up in his cardio. That third, fourth, and fifth round, if he keeps getting up, defend the submissions, that's when it gets interesting.
He's also so hard to hit. He's so hard to hit. He does so many sneaky things on the feet that people don't
And he
see
just
coming.
keeps coming.
Yep.
Keeps coming.
Yeah, no
Keeps
way
coming.
Khamzat's going to fucking stand with him. He's going to try to take him down. No
Keeps
way.
teeping you.
Yeah.
Khamzat can strike too, though. Did you see the video of
He's no
Khamzat
punk.
striking with
But,
Khalil?
no,
Yeah, he's no
totally.
punk.
But you think that's the best strategy for
No.
Khamzat? No
No.
way.
Strickland is going to be taking on Khamzat Chimaev. How did we get here, and what does it mean for Imanov? I always enjoy fight announcements, but I always seem to hear more in what wasn't said. Like, one of my big takeaways was just simply Imanov. Then I instantly think of Kyle Barallo. And then I instantly think of what has changed between now and the night that Sean Strickland won his last fight and called for Chimaev. And Chimaev went to the media and said, I'll fight him. Now, we were never bullish on that over here, Bad Guy Inc.
All right, fight fans. The news is out. Sean Strickland versus Khamzat Chimaev is officially on. Everyone's buzzing about how nobody can beat him except me. That's the energy Strickland is bringing, and it's exactly what makes this fight so electric. But the real story, the one that makes us scratch our heads, is how we actually got here. This wasn't the fight anyone expected, especially with Aliskarov or even Kyle Barallo in the picture. This clip perfectly sets up the mystery. What unseen forces or unheard whispers led to this blockbuster matchup, leaving others in the cold? Let's dive deep into the implications and the surprising path that forged this epic clash.
We loved the idea. We supported the idea. We just understood, because it had been told in the media since mid-October of last year, that it was going to be Imanov. I thought there was a very good argument that Strickland get that fight, considering Strickland beat Imanov in head-to-head competition. Imanov's last loss was to top-ranked former champion Sean Strickland. I think that's hard to get around. I think it's a good intermission.
This is the core of the dilemma for many of us. We all heard the whispers, the reports. Aliskarov was the guy. And yet here we are with Strickland versus Chimaev. The speaker makes a compelling point. Strickland already proved he could beat Aliskarov head-to-head. In a sport where narratives and clear paths to the title are paramount, ignoring a direct win over a top contender feels, frankly, disrespectful to the rankings. It underscores how the UFC often operates on what's exciting and marketable, not always what's purely merit-based. Strickland's claim was strong, but Chimaev's star power ultimately dictated the direction, sidelining a deserving contender.
Argument for Sean, but I also thought that we were probably going in circles because Imanov already had the fight and it just had not been announced. And not only did I believe he had the fight, Like as secondary evidence, he had no other fight. He was not building in a different direction. No other athlete able to look at Imanov and look where he's at in the rankings and look how close he is to a title shot called him out. And usually when that happens, it's because the locker room got some inside scoop and they've been sworn to secrecy.
This insight into the locker room scoop is gold for understanding the fight game's undercurrents. The fact that Aliskarov had no other fight, wasn't pursuing other opponents, and crucially, no one else was calling him out, speaks volumes. It's a clear sign that the fighters themselves, the ones living and breathing this sport, knew something was brewing. They understood Aliskarov was likely tied up with a specific, unannounced, high-stakes bout. This subtle social proof tells us that the UFC likely did have plans for Aliskarov, which makes the sudden pivot to Strickland versus Chimaev all the more intriguing and, dare I say, chaotic and unexpected.
But Imanov is off the table, in this case, gonna fight Chimaev. It's not what happened. So what is the difference? What changed? Did they go for a different fight? I mean, we keep hearing these lockdown rumors on Chimaev. We keep hearing that he's got visa issues and that he can't get about. And if they wanted to fight him in the U.S., specifically the U.S., he can't get about. But guys, it was last week through Instagram that training footage of Chimaev at the training lab was taking place. He's in America. He's training in America.
And just like that, the entire narrative shifts. Aliskarov is out, Strickland versus Chimaev is in, and suddenly all those persistent visa rumors surrounding Chimaev vanish into thin air. For months, we've heard that Khamzat couldn't fight in the US, supposedly locked out by travel restrictions. But the undeniable proof of him training in an American gym fundamentally changes the game. This wasn't about Chimaev being unable to fight, it was about where he was willing to fight, or perhaps who they wanted him to fight. It's a reminder that in the UFC, the truth behind an announcement is often far more complex than the official story and the problems that are reported.
So those rumors got a little bit light. Other guys were saying, with the help of Chimaev's calling out Alex Pereira, he's calling for a title shot at 205 pounds. Other guys started speculating, hey, look, he doesn't actually want to fight Pereira or have heat with Pereira per se. He has heat with the 205-pound champion because he would like to be the 205-pound champion, because he would like to get out of 185 because his body has just grown. Okay, fine. I mean, that's a reasonable story that after being put out was not countered by Chimaev and his team. Usually, it doesn't make it so, but usually when you're doing your detective work, if something gets said about a top guy that is not accurate, the top guy and or team will respond to correct the record. That never happened.
This clip highlights another crucial piece of the puzzle. Chimaev's persistent calls for a light heavyweight title shot, seemingly driven by his growing frame and the difficulty of making 185. The commentator's observation about Chimaev's team not countering this narrative is incredibly insightful. In the fight game, silence from a top contender's camp when rumors fly is often as loud as an official statement. It suggests these speculations about Chimaev wanting to move up were not just media conjecture, but possibly a strategic leak or an accurate reflection of his true intentions. This explains a lot about why the middleweight picture has been so fluid around him, and why this specific fight is now on the cards.
So now all of a sudden we've got Chimaev versus Strickland. Did you guys see the odds? My partners right now, DraftKings, 6-1. 6-1 is what they are favoring Chimaev to beat Strickland. 2-1 when the fight opened, Chimaev versus Dricus. When that bell rang, they were 2-1. 6-1 is what Izzy Adesanya was favored the night he fought Sean Strickland.
6-1. Let that sink in for a moment. This isn't just favoring one fighter, it's practically writing off the other. For Khamzat to be a 6-1 favorite over a former middleweight champion like Sean Strickland is a testament to the immense, perhaps even historic, belief in his capabilities. Remember, Strickland was a 6-1 underdog against Izzy, and we all saw how that played out. The comparison to Drekius's initial odds against Chimaev, which were a mere 2-1, shows just how much the perception of this matchup has skewed. The bookmakers are essentially saying this is going to be a walk in the park for Boers, but we know Sean Strickland never got that memo.
3-1 is what Islam was the night that he beat Charles Oliveira, right? If you remember that point in time, nobody believed that Islam wasn't walking out there with the belt. Nobody believed that Charles had what it took to stand up to Islam. And with that said, it got to 3-1. So 3-1 doesn't just represent a confidence. It's a confidence in a domination. 3-1 is essentially saying, our guy, our 3-1 favorite, is going to finish your guy. This is 6-1.
The speaker hammers home the gravity of these 6-1 odds by contrasting them with other dominant favorites. Islam Makhachev was a 3-1 favorite against Charles Oliveira, and that was considered a near certain domination. To have Chimaev at double that against a former champion like Strickland isn't just confidence, it's an expectation of a finish. The sportsbooks are essentially telling us they foresee Chimaev absolutely steamrolling Strickland. This isn't about a decision win, it's about a decisive, potentially early stoppage. It makes you wonder, are they underestimating Strickland's grit, or is Chimaev truly on another level entirely, justifying the nobody can beat him narrative?
This is 6-1 with common opponents. Common opponent being Kamaru Usman, who came out and said, I think Sean Strickland can beat him. And Kamaru Usman thinks that Chimaev is great. He just said that Strickland can beat him. He said, you know, when you start fighting him, you think he's a wrestler. And you don't have to worry that he's going to take you down, but his defense is that of a wrestler. George Masvidal comes out and does an interview.
This is where the fight IQ truly shines. Kamaru Usman, a legend and a common opponent for both Strickland and Chimaev, offering this take is incredibly significant. Usman recognizes Chimaev's talent but still sees a path for Strickland. His breakdown of Chimaev's wrestling defense, that it's good but maybe not impenetrable if you expect offense, is a subtle but crucial insight. Usman isn't saying Chimaev is weak, but he's pointing out a nuance in his game that an elite striker and defensive wrestler like Strickland could exploit. It's a tactical perspective that the odds makers might be overlooking, suggesting a closer fight than predicted.
George, who just saw Sean training at the American Top Team, said the exact same thing about the takedown defense. And that seems to be the big question when you're fighting Chimaev. Like, before we get into resumes, who's ranked, who should be there, when we come down to what's the guy that possesses the skill set where we can close our eyes and make believe that Chimaev could get beat, we have to first be able to convince ourselves that that guy possesses superior takedown defense to the excellent offense takedown abilities of Chimaev. I think Strickland's that guy. I think they found the right guy.
Jorge Masvidal, a fellow ATT fighter, echoing Usman's sentiment about Strickland's takedown defense, is a powerful endorsement. This isn't just idle talk. It's a fighter's analysis of another fighter's crucial skill set. The speaker hits the nail on the head. The only way to visualize Chimaev being beaten is by having someone with elite-level takedown defense. Chimaev's offensive wrestling is a game changer, but if Strickland can negate that, the fight becomes a striking match, which favors Sean. This analysis suggests the UFC picked Strickland precisely because he does possess that unique defensive wrestling pedigree needed to make a fight with Chimaev truly competitive. This is why Strickland believes he can beat him.
6-1 surprises me. I don't think Kyle Brawlo is going to have his panties in a bunch, because he is 1-1 in his last two. I think he's going to understand, I could have gone for a title shot, but they probably had me do something else. All right, great. That's where it landed. Imanov's in a different spot. Imanov deserves that title shot. And I realize the hypocrisy that sounds, because I am pushing for Sean, but I'm pushing for Sean because Sean beat him head-to-head. I just think that's a hard thing to ignore. So now what do you do with Imanov?
The 6-1 odds are indeed mind-boggling, especially given Strickland's recent form and championship reign. While someone like Kyle Brawlo, with a mixed recent record, might absorb this news with less resentment, Aliskarov's situation is entirely different. The speaker admits the hypocrisy of advocating for Strickland despite his strong stance on Aliskarov's deservingness, but it highlights a real conundrum. Strickland did beat Aliskarov, creating a direct conflict of interest for the UFC. This segment really drives home the idea that while the Strickland-Chimaev fight is huge, it's coming at the expense of a very deserving contender whose path to a title shot has been inexplicably derailed.
And by the way, when you elect to do whatever you're going to do with Imanov, can we all agree that that is the number one contendership? Because no, I don't think that we're going to get that guarantee. I think a backup role is very important. I think a backup role is needed. I think it would be wise if Imanov got that spot, but today I feel for him. That's hard. Since mid-October of last year, he has been training every day for a title shot that he had reason to believe was his, which is we all told him he was going to get it. Tough spot. Right now, Imanov is not in a physical challenge. He is in a mental challenge. To get up and to push through what you felt was taken from you. It's a very tough spot. Where does he go from here? Likely right in to call Brock.
This concluding thought on Aliskarov is truly heartbreaking for any dedicated fighter. Imagine training religiously for a title shot you believed was yours since last October, only for it to be snatched away. The mental toll this takes is immense, far beyond any physical challenge. The question of his future, whether he'll get a guaranteed #1 contendership or just be relegated to a backup role, is crucial. It speaks to the brutal business side of the UFC, where marketability can trump merit. For Aliskarov, it's not just about losing a fight, it's about losing a dream he was actively pursuing. His next move, likely against Barallo, will be a test of his resilience and ability to bounce back from this crushing disappointment.